Hey guys, today in our video I'm going to show you the follow-up to the circle crossbody bag where we make the flower pattern. So if you haven't watched the circle crossbody tutorial, go ahead and watch that now. And I'm going to go through this kind of quickly, just showing you the differences and what we need to update in order to make the flower pattern. So we need at least 3 colors. We want the color of our flower petals, kind of darker, similar color for accent, and then our contrasting color. So we're going to start off with the petal color and make our slip knot. Chain 1. And 8 single crochets into our magic circle. So then we take our tail and pull the circle closed. And this is going to be exactly the same. We're going to do about 5 rounds in this color with the same increase pattern as our regular circle. So go ahead and do that, starting with putting 2 single crochets into every stitch for the first round. Okay, now I've made 4 rounds of my lavender color, and I'm going to attach my darker purple for my accent. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is count how many stitches we have. 35. So we're going to do sets of 7. And I don't know if these things have a name. I call them dip downs. So we're going to do 4 regular single crochets into the first 4 stitches. And then for our next stitch, instead of going into this top hole here where we normally would place our single crochet, we're going to go all the way down to the next row where the next lowest stitch is. See that? And then the following, we're going to dip down 1 even further down to the 3rd row. So, and sometimes we have to pull through a little more yarn, so we make it all the way. And don't pull it too tight, otherwise you're going to make a dent in the overall circle. Which is okay if it dents a little bit, but you don't want it to be too dramatic. And then 1 back up to the 2nd row. And that's how we form our petals. Those are the 3 dip downs. And we're going to follow that with 4 regular single crochets once again. And as you know, while we're making our circle, we still have to increase each row, but we do this a little bit differently. We do this just by, spacing these stitches so that we are adding a stitch, but we're not necessarily putting 2 stitches into each. So, instead of, if we were dipping down here, instead of going over into this stitch, maybe we would go down into this one, so we would be putting just a few more stitches than the row before. So we're just going to continue like that with our 4 regular crochets and our 3 dip downs. That makes our sets of 7. You can also change this up a little bit and add 1 more dip down, making that in an increment of 5, making those petals a little bit larger. Just do your math to make sure it adds up to get all the way around. So you see, if I was going stitch by stitch, my next dip down would be kind of off to the side here, but instead I'm going to put it into this closer second row so that we are adding more stitches.
And as usual, I like to stretch this out every once in a while, make sure everything is going to lay flat and that it's looking nice.
So then sometimes because of the stitches we've added, it's not going to work out exactly right. So we might have to just do 3 on our final set in order to get in the last petals. So we're going to leave that at 3, and hopefully it's not going to be too obvious that it's smaller than the others. And there's that round. You can see our flower pattern coming through. So now we're going to cut that yarn and attach our final color, our contrasting color. So now for our final row, we're just going to follow the same pattern, putting our 4 single crochets into the 4 regular stitches, and I will show you how we do the dip downs. So then when we arrive at our first dip down, we're just going to do the same thing, and we're going to insert our hook kind of between the 2 sides of our stitch into the hole that's behind there, which is the row below. So insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. And same thing with our farther down. We're just going to kind of open that up and dip all the way down.
And sometimes if I have enough of my contrast color yarn, I'll add another row, just a regular circle of single crochet once around the edge, just to pull everything together and make it nice and neat. But I did not do that this time, so it still turns out okay. Now we simply bind off and weave in our end. We repeat this entire thing for the second side of the bag, and we make our gusset and strap in the same color, our contrasting color, which we've done in blue this time. And just like we showed in the original video, we slip stitch those together and we're all done. We have our circle crossbody. So play around with that, play with different petal patterns, different colors, and see what you can come up with. For example, to achieve this pattern, I added an extra row of my first color and I dip down in increments of 5 instead. So you can make those petals larger or smaller, however you see fit. And this is how my bag turned out when I followed this pattern that I've shown you here. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.